Good morning, everyone in the fellowship hall who's not in church yet. Do you hear me in the fellowship hall? Good morning. Welcome to church, everyone. It looks like it's kind of empty, but I see lots of people back there. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. I am the Reverend Mandy Goheen. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my great patriotic honor to serve this congregation, but that really doesn't have anything to do with it. So today is something a little different. It's called a question box, and the first thing I want you to know is I have no box. So there's no place to put your questions, but there is a microphone right there, and if you're someone who would like to write your question down on the top of the order of service and find a volunteer to ask it for you, today I am open to questions. As you may have realized by me and who I am, I'm a little off the cuff. And even in that, I have great comfort, and I want you to know that I'm really nervous today. And it's kind of good for me once in a while to be nervous about what might happen or what I might say. It's more about what I might say than what you might ask. Because in this space, we are open to question everything. Now, it doesn't mean that we're right when we come to our opinion. It just means that we are available and in covenant for questioning. This is a special day. This church always has a little picnic or potluck to celebrate the 4th of July. That was Thursday. You all heard the fireworks if you didn't see them. Still hearing them. I can still hear them right now. People's dog's least favorite holiday, the 4th of July. Oh, we got to turn things on. I think specifically on this holiday and others, it's important that we remember where we are and who we are and how we got here, especially in a congregation that generally majority white, if you didn't notice. We are very welcoming, but we're welcoming into a particular intellectual pursuit, a particular way of questioning that is open to all, no matter your age, no matter your ethnicity. Woo, I got the ADHD and the dyslexia this morning. Even if you have that, you're welcome here, but please help me read the land acknowledgement for the place that we are. At UUCC, we acknowledge that our church sits on Cherokee, Muskogee, and Yuchi land. In World War II, the chalice became a symbol of religious freedom in the windows of churches. It continues to be a symbol of religious freedom, and it's also a tool that we use to mark the beginnings and endings of sacred time together when we're particularly careful about our covenant for this hour, when we're particularly careful about listening, and we're particularly careful about questioning. And somebody who's been questioning everything for 90 years is invited to come forward and light our chalice. Oh, that's me. It'll take a minute to get used to. So please join me in the chalice lighting as Skip lights our chalice. In the light of truth, in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. It's stuck. Oh my goodness, see, she's causing trouble. I got it. I play with fire. That was fun. Okay, I want to invite Katie forward to help us with our opening song. Please rise in body and or spirit. If you'd like a book, it's in the teal hymnal, number 1003. Please turn my mic off. Microphone up there. Yeah.
Hi. Wow, that is very short. Okay. I have been told that this has been done in the past, but for those of us to whom this is new, I thought we might take a minute to try to organize it. I'll try to be a shepherd, maybe one might say. So I thought if maybe we go over all 4 parts as one, and then we'll divide them. Yay. Let's give that a go. Can we get an F? So the first one is, where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? And then part 2 is, where do we come from? Where do we come from? And 3 is mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. And 4, where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? So,
there's lots of mics that run around if you want one.
Section, we're listening to this side. So section 1, raise your hand. Oh, great. Section 2-ish, raise your hand. Great. Section 3-ish, raise your hand. Great. Section 4. Okay.
All right. Please turn my mic off or everybody will be sad.
And me, without my conducting experience, I'm going to do my best to steer this ship. Okay.
Awesome. Woo! We got this, y'all. It's a mystery, but we're going to do it. Are we done, or do you want to do it again?
We're done.
We're done, okay. Hey, you never know around here. I'd like to invite Dylan up with a story for all ages. I want to say, I really love you, Dylan, and when you said this had a lot of pages, you were right.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, it's fine. We need to hear about liberty and all that. But I'm going to attempt to watch over Dylan's shoulder and make the slides kind of match.
Do any of our young people want to come up here and listen to my story that I'm going to tell? This is a story about the Statue of Liberty's right foot, and I think you all might really enjoy it. Or anyone young at heart is also welcome to come and sit on the floor. We need to sit on the floor more, y'all. We're in chairs too much. I encourage you all to find opportunities in your life to sit on the floor. It's good for you.
I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. People who sit in seats are welcome too.
This is called Her Right Foot by Dave Eggers.
Ooh, I'm going back here.
Her Right Foot. You have likely heard of a place called France. If you've heard of France, you may have heard of the French.
Ooh la la.
They are the people who live in France.
Oui.
You may have also heard of something called the Statue of Liberty. Did you know that the Statue of Liberty comes from France? Yep. This is true. This is a factual book. One day a Frenchman named Edouard de Laboulaye had an idea. The idea was to celebrate the 100 years the United States of America had been around by giving them a giant sculpture. So he convinced another Frenchman, a Frenchman with an Italian last name, to design the sculpture. And this artist's name was Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi. Bartholdi designed the statue. Now, he first made very small models of the sculpture, and then larger ones, and finally one that is the one that we know, which stands 305 feet above the water. This final full-size version was covered with a thin copper skin. The skin is about as thick as 2 pennies. It's not very thick. There's 2 pennies down there, very down at the bottom left-hand corner. Here is a rendering of Bartholdi and his team. He had a team, of course. He did not work alone. He did not like working alone, constructing the statue's hand. Notice that the hand is bigger than these men. Thus, they made the statue in many parts. And these parts were assembled in New York City. No, wait. But first they were assembled in Paris. Did you know this?
No.
Ask your friends and even your teachers if they knew that before the Statue of Liberty was assembled in New York, she was first constructed in Paris. Your friends and teachers will be astounded. They will be impressed. They might think you're fibbing. But you're not fibbing. This really happened. The Statue of Liberty stood there high above Paris for almost a year in 1884. And after they assembled the statue in Paris, they took it apart. But we just put it together, the workers said. This is absurd, they said. They said all this in French. Language in France. That's the people who appreciate the absurd. They appreciate the absurd.
French speaker.
Oh, wow. In 1885, after they took it apart, they put the parts in 214 crates and put these crates on a boat. And the boat was called the Isère. And the boat traveled over the Atlantic Ocean, made its way to a city called New York, which is in a state that is also called New York. And hundreds of workers, maybe 214 of them, took the pieces out of 214 boxes and then began to rivet the pieces together. Assembling the statue took 17 months, and it all happened on what was then called Bedloe's Island. Now, Bartholdi liked to see the sculpture rise above the harbor, and sometimes he watched the construction from the water. Sometimes he watched it from the land. Usually he was wearing a sturdy black hat, for he, like most European men of the time, favored sturdy black hats. And you may have noticed by now that the pictures of the Statue of Liberty in this book have her colored brown. You may have thought the illustrator of this book was not so good at his job, because we all know that the Statue of Liberty to be certain greenish blue, right? But the Statue of Liberty was made of copper, and copper starts out brown. And then very slowly, when left outside for long periods of time, copper will eventually oxidize, and when it does, this turns a blue-green color. So the Statue of Liberty that everyone in New York saw being constructed was actually brown. The Statue of Liberty, in fact, was brown for about 35 years.
Really? Wow.
The statue turned green around 1920 and has been this color ever since. Perhaps you already knew this. As you may have known that the book the statue is carrying, the one in her left hand features a date, July 4th, 1776, on which the Declaration of Independence was signed. And you may know that the 7 spikes on her crown represent the 7 seas on Earth, and the 7 continents, and the sun's rays. And you probably know that the torch she carries is a symbol of enlightenment, lighting the path to liberty and freedom. And you might have known that at one point, Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb and the record player, once proposed to have a giant record player inside the Statue of Liberty. He did! He wanted the statue to be able to speak. In the end, though, this idea was considered a bit strange and was not pursued. And did you know that the interior of the statue was designed by another Frenchman by the name of Eiffel? That's right. The same Eiffel who a few years later would design the Eiffel Tower. And did you know that while the statue was first being constructed in Paris, a bunch of Parisians, mostly writers, they love to eat, actually dined in the area just below the statue's knee? This too is true. While the statue was rising, Bartholdi set up a lunch 4 stories up to impress and enthrall these French writers, who, being difficult to impress and enthrall, were at least mildly amused. But there's one thing that you might not know, and this is the central point of this book. A point the author apologizes for taking so long to get to. I'm sorry. The point is that even if you've seen a picture of the Statue of Liberty, or many pictures of the Statue of Liberty, or even hundreds of pictures of the Statue of Liberty, you probably have not seen pictures of her feet.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, no.
And 1 second, stay right there. And even if you have seen pictures of her feet, you probably have not seen pictures of the back of her feet. In particular, her right foot.
Oh, back. Got it.
What do you notice when you see that picture?
Shoes.
She's wearing sandals?
She's wearing sandals? She's walking. Who said she's walking? Thank you. She's walking. She's moving. Yeah, she's moving. That's right. She's going somewhere. She's on the move. Let's pause here and collect ourselves and think about this. Let's discuss this for 1 second. Let's think about and discuss the fact this is the largest sculpture in all the land and the most iconic symbol of the United States of America. And let's talk about the fact that this statue has welcomed millions of visitors and immigrants to the USA. People talk about her unusual headwear. They talk about her gown, which seems a very heavy kind of garment that would likely result in serious lower back issues. They talk about her beautiful torch, the severe look in her face. But no one talks about the fact that she's walking. This 150-foot woman is on the go. Every time we see the Statue of Liberty in pictures, or anytime we imagine the Statue of Liberty, we see her standing still. Very still. Well, like a statue. But she's moving. She weighs 450,000 pounds. She wears a size 879 shoe. She is moving. How can we all have missed this? Or even if we saw this and noticed this, how is it that we've seen and noticed a 450,000-pound human on her way somewhere and said, it's just another 150-foot woman walking off a 150-foot pedestal? And most important, where's she going? Is she going to Soho to get a panini? Is she going to the West Village to look for vintage Nico records? No. No, she's facing southwest, so she's facing New Jersey. Could she be going to Trenton? Wait, no, she's facing southeast, so she's not going to New Jersey, but she's going somewhere. But where? Why is she moving? There are certain things we know. We know that around her feet are chains. They are broken chains, implying that she's freed herself from bondage. We know that Bartholdi wanted us to know this. He wanted us to see the chains. People have talked about the chains. But few talk about the foot that is so obviously in mid-stride, about the fact that her entire right leg is in mid-stride. What does this mean? What does this mean that we often forget about this right foot, this right leg? Here is an idea. Here is a theory. Here is a reminder. If the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of freedom, if the Statue of Liberty has welcomed millions of immigrants to the United States, then how can she stand still? Liberty and freedom from oppression are not things you get or grant by standing around like some kind of statue. No, these are things that require action, courage, and unwillingness to rest. It never ends. It cannot end. After all, the Statue of Liberty is an immigrant too. And this is why she's moving. This is why she's striding. In welcoming the poor, the tired, the struggling to breathe free. She is not content to wait. She must meet them in the sea. The end.
We're not singing y'all anywhere, but we're going to do a meditation that's singing. If you want to stay up here, you can, or you can go back to your seats. It's completely up to you. I promise not to fall over you. Well, that seems kind of as if we're telling. Okay, so this song, so we're doing a hymn of the month kind of thing. So it's my idea that I can actually learn some new stuff. And I really like this one because it's very prayerful, and it has an opportunity to add whatever line you want in later, as long as you remember the solid line. The other thing is about this phrase, we begin again in love, it is the very last thing in our covenant. And it's very important and critical to the way that this place works. We break a plate, we begin again in love. We make a big gift, we begin again in love. We share smile or food, we begin again in love. We share our joys and concerns, and we begin again and again and again in love. It is the secret sauce of Unitarian Universalism, to know that we're never finished. And like the Statue of Liberty, we're always taking a step forward. We're beginning again and again and again. So we're going to practice this by humming or something cool, I think. Anyway. So I have some lines to say, but first I want us to learn the verse. We forgive ourselves and each other, we begin again in love. So we're going to hum, you're going to play it, we're going to hum along with you, and then we're going to sing it. And then we'll stop for a second and start from the beginning. So I'll try to. Forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again. Sound good? All right. So I'm going to start by reading, but first, before I read this, I received a beautiful gift this week. I received a beautiful gift from a child who was raised as a Unitarian Universalist. Her name is Hannah Eller Isaac, and I will play a part of this recording for her and embarrass her later. But her father and her mother have both passed away since COVID began, and they were major leaders in Minneapolis in the Unitarian Universalist Church. And Rob Eller Isaac and Jan Eller Isaac are names like everyone knows at GA and stuff like that, which is our big gathering. What's important about that is they raised this kid. Her mom went to General Assembly pregnant with her, about to deliver, and she's been involved ever since. And so, without me asking her, she gave me a gift this week that I'm really touched by, and I want to just say thank you to her. And then when you told me about this song and I figured out who wrote it, it seemed important to mention. So Hannah, because of my kid's motorcycle accident and all the wild drama I'm always involved in, waived my fees for the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association this year as a gift to me to like brighten my day. And that is a gift to all of us because that money generally comes out of the minister's professional expense account. And so it felt kind of awkward, and I've been having some rough feelings about Unitarian Universalists lately, and the GA, always after GA, I'm a little grumpy, our big meeting. And so to get this gift and be reminded that what it really is to be part of this faith is to begin again in love, no matter what our position, whether we're a minister, whether we're somebody who just goes to work and tries that out. It's what I'm calling the secret sauce today. So I'm going to read a line, and this is her father's words, okay? And then we'll sing, "We forgive ourselves and each other, we begin again in love." For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference. Forgive ourselves and each for each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible. Forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again. For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause. For each time our greed has blocked us to the needs of others. For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone. For falling short of tending our own spirits. For losing sight and understanding of our unity. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of our separateness. The candle is lit for the end of war and genocide and slavery and imprisonment and all the things I did not name. This is a time in our service where we get a little vulnerable and come forward and put a stone in the water for joys or concerns that we might be carrying from the week. It's an opportunity for you to not be a lone pebble on the beach, but become part of a community in your needs and ways of expressing your needs for your spirit. I'm putting one in for my goofy kid who's 19 and myself, that we might be a little more patient with each other during his healing this week. I invite you all forward. If you're not somebody who wants to come up and be in the camera, there's a little station back there. And anyone who wants a hug, I'm going to stand right here. It is optional. So please line up in the middle. We've been having some back and forth about how this works. Let's try the middle today, and then go off on the sides. So you may come forward. spirit of love and light surround us. Remind us that in summer we are grumpy and hot. Remind us that this is just a hike away. This is the second hole at Soddy Daisy Creek. If you got a mile or two in you, go swimming up there. It's well worth it. Find a place to hide out from the grumpiness and the cool shade of the earth. And just like the earth surrounds you, may this community surround you in love again and again and again. May it be so. And now for the truly terrifying part of the service. I am ready to take questions. I need a volunteer. I knew Walter would raise his hand. Come on up here. Will you be my microphone runner for people who don't want to come up? So Walter will bring you a microphone. We're going to have a microphone set right here. And for approximately 13 minutes, which is about how long I can take it, I will entertain your questions as best I can. If you need the microphone, please raise your hand and Walter will help you out.
Is it on?
Anybody have a question about me or my job or this church? If you have want me to tell the future or something, I'll give it a shot. But I'm pretty limited. Who has a question? Come on. Walter, do you have a question? Oh, good. Gosh, my job is done. Oh, I see a question in the very back. Yay.
Hi, thanks for taking my question, Reverend.
Yeah.
My question is, how do the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism sort of inform your sermon practice and creating sermons and coming up with ideas for how you come up with a sermon on a weekly basis?
That's a great question. So I seem a little haphazard at times, but I do lead what I call a vocational life. And my leading way of being is the 7 principles. I've made a commitment to that. And when I'm writing a sermon, no matter how silly or cool I think it is, I generally ask myself how it relates to those 7 principles to make sure that I'm not just spouting whatever I want. I also believe in decentering ministry, that it's my job to be up here once a week to tell you, the principles can be used in all these different kinds of ways, but not tell you how to do it. So it is always present in my process. And there's this cool thing here. I'm going to educate people. There are 2 cool things. There's an app that's called, there's Worship Web. And there's an app for that, and it's called the Chalice Lighter app. And if you ever don't have a chalice with you, you can get it on your cell phone and light your little chalice. And if you need some words, you just look it up. So that is one way. I lay in bed and look at that. Anyway, not everyone is me, but I use that app a lot. Like if I'm in the doctor's office and start feeling feelings of destruction, I will take that out and find something to read that centers me in Unitarian Universalism. It's kind of my go-to. There's a lot about, you don't have to memorize the 7 principles necessarily, but they're very helpful, and I think they come to me when they need to. So thank you for your question. What's the app called? Something that's on my phone and has a chalice on it. Chalice Lighter app. I see somebody helping me out here. We'll get that name. Yep, I see a question perhaps.
UUCC is not sponsored by this app.
All right, the mic came to me. I want to ask this in the most general way I can. There is some anxiety among members in this church who have been around a while over sabbaticals. And I guess if you could say a few words how you are preparing yourself and preparing us for you to be on that sabbatical.
I was going to plant that question and I forgot. So see how awesome y'all are? I didn't even have to plant it. So I was, and of course there's a story, because that's how I tell answers. But I was cleaning, I've been doing, cleaning the office out and cleaning a lot of files, digitizing things, and the employment thing says that we only have to keep records of an employee for 7 years. And so I was, with one eye peeking, throwing away some past minister stuff the other day, trying, like, not to be nosy because I am, and just kind of giving myself some ethics about their personal stuff and what went on. It is historical, if you look on the wall, that folks go on sabbatical and maybe don't come back or come back different. So that's one thing that I want to really acknowledge. The things I'm doing to get ready is, A, knowing that I don't want to go either is a good sign I should go. Like, it gives me anxiety to think that I should be away. Also, I'm going to do a specific project. I'm working on writing a book-ish thing that, I don't know, it's kind of a three-dimensional art project booky thing. And there's some words and there's some art, and I'm going to really concentrate on completing that project during my sabbatical. In preparation for sabbatical, a couple things that are going on. Finances is always a question because you're still paying me and I'm out writing a book. So that's one question. The answer to that is I have been doing some fundraising. The first year of COVID, because I didn't spend my professional expenses, got put into a sabbatical fund per my request. I'm working on a worship strategy that makes this not just look easy, be easy to be up here, because it's not quite as easy as you'd think. And I have a couple people who are helping me out with that. It's kind of what we called wowzers in the past, which was working on worship, and it's kind of like, I'm thinking of it as a wowzers revival, so that people are in good space to get through the time while I'm gone. There will be a committee on shared ministry that will help me out. There will also be an awesome worship team, and just talking about it, I know that this has been said by other ministers, and this is more for the anxiety part of people who haven't been here as long don't quite know this anxiety part. I don't know what they would have said to you, and I don't know who they were, but my commitment is so deep and so full in this congregation. And I really don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want another church after this. I don't want an after this. I want to live in a van. You know, I don't want to keep, I do this because I love this place and I'm called to do this, but I can't imagine adjusting to another congregation and loving them the way I love all of you. And I came here knowing that the minister didn't always come back the same after sabbatical. And so that's been on my mind the whole time. It is normal for things to change and people to change, but here's what I know about this space. You all got by for a year without a settled minister or an interim or anything, just with somebody contract. You will do brilliantly. Part of the reason I asked for Charlotte Olson to be our incoming president is she has experience in other churches of people being in sabbatical, and she has great experience around worship. So I'm working on leadership that will be in place to, like, you know, when I told Charlotte, she's like, oh, you're only going to be gone 5 months? So that's the kind of people I need around me. And I think that maybe we will try to create some safety net that if people are grumbling about me or you're starting to think of, she's not back yet, I'm coming back at Christmas just to trick you out of all of that. So I'm like a present. But also, the Committee on Shared Ministry is going to be active and listening during this time, and I'm not going, as much as I'd love to go live in some random spot in a little cabin, I can't seem to get away from my kids, so I'll be here the whole time. My daughter will be a senior in high school that year, so I'm really looking forward to being with her and spending a little time with family. We are working on our little urban farm, and I'm beginning this project that right now has so many pieces of paper and paintings all over my house. But will be kind of gently coaxed into being a book by the time I come back. Part of what that book is about is very important. It's about the last year and a minister preparing to go on sabbatical and come back. And the reason it's about that is people really struggle with that process, and it seems very mysterious. And I thought, well, what a better time to write a book like that with the congregation about what ministry looks like and shared ministry when you do come back. So that book would really suck if I didn't come back to this church at the end. Maybe not, but I mean, it's not the ending I'm going for, and I hope none of you all are either. Is that helpful, Steve? Did you want any more clarification? All right. Thought about it a lot is the answer. Okay, anybody else? Oh, I saw a hand. Oh, Layla.
So since I have become a UU, I've had several family members, some genuinely curious, some probably not, ask me, so what is a UU? What do you guys believe? And I don't, besides the 7 principles, which gets a little bit long, like my great uncle asks me in the middle of my sister's wedding reception, and I'm like,
The inherent worth and dignity of every person, I swear to yeah.
So what's like a really good 30-second thing to say? I've been looking for something.
The elevator speech, I'm good at this too. I'll do it in a pizza shop, I'll do it wherever, but now I'm drawing a blank. But one of the things I say to people when they ask what this is, and after I've explained it's not a cult, generally, because that's always the first question, and those principles and our board and the Committee on Shared Ministry, all those things make it not a cult. If it were only about, if I'd made up the 7 principles, for example, then we would be in that territory, but I did not, so that's good news. What I say to people is this is a community who gets together. Oh, well, let me start over again. So the pizza guy asked me, what's a Unitarian Universalist? And I say, it's a church, but it's not. It's a group of people who want to be together for the sake of being together. And one of the things I say, and I don't know about uncomfortable family members with this answer, but here's my general distilled answer. It's a group of people in covenant with each other to do good in the world without a supreme authority. Our authority is our covenant and each other. And that's always if people could handle that answer, but they're always like, well, what do you believe? And my other answer is we don't believe anything we want. Because that's another thing you will hear, that UUs believe whatever they want. No, we have the covenant that holds us together. Our personal belief systems are that, but we are not in a space where we get to decide what other people believe. And that's tricky and really hard for people to understand. I have a group come from Chattanooga Christian Academy every once in a while and ask me about that. And they'll say things like, okay, so tell me about your devil. And I'm like, well, gotta have one for the other, I don't know about that. And they're like, and then we talk about the principles and they go, wow, that's really hard. And think about it. We are being good for the sake of goodness. We are loving for the sake of love, not for what we gain from it, and not for a ticket to some place that even those folks don't understand usually. So, I was talking to my mom. She'll say this really sweet thing about, gosh, it's just so hard on all you when somebody passes away because you don't have a belief system. And I'm always like, are you sure? I get a lot of practice with my mom, by the way. We talk through sermons a lot. And I always say, are you sure? And then finally, at the end of the conversation, she admits in Christianity, she doesn't actually know that it's true either. So, there's a lot of mysteries. And we're a little more comfortable with that. And we're a little more comfortable with trusting ourselves to be decent humans together. So we're good people. That's what you might say, too. And, hey. That's why we don't have altar kids. It's boring up here.
So I'm curious to hear how you feel about being a minister, a leader. During these times, I know we hear about Unitarian leadership back in the, when the genocide was happening in World War II. We hear about it during the Civil Rights Movement, how Unitarians were involved. And now we're facing all of that, plus an environmental crisis. So how is it to be a Unitarian leader now?
I don't think about that. I'm kidding. Well, it's almost always times such as these. It always is my opinion. We're always on the brink of some kind of change, some kind of transformation. And I am, I was a lot of things, and I never really knew what I was until I found this thing to be, this minister helping people make great decisions and do good in the world without oppression. So it's honestly a really beautiful spot to be in. It's a place where I get to process and help other people be good together in the world. And I want to remind us about those histories that you brought up. The heroes in those history books were not heroes then. Just keep in mind. I want to also say that the subversive Unitarian Universalist ministers were in those spots, not the ones that were going along with the stream. Congratulations. I'm kidding. So being part of that, clique kind of people who have some power to change history and be in spots that are important at the right time is really meaningful for me. But I want to just say that it's not about what I do during this time. It's about all of you and the tools you have to survive. This is, every time I think it's getting scary, it gets scarier. And I want to say that in this space, I am not challenged for being a female minister who is very direct, silly, and still doesn't really mess with oppression. I don't really tolerate it. And when I'm in other spaces, I don't have this same agency that I have in this space. This is also my practice area for being ready to go out and talk to people. I also was raised in a family that fed people, which is what we do, and how we continue to think about feeding people during these really tough times is exciting. And I want this to not be an oasis. Sorry. I want this to be the place where we recharge, the place where we fuel ourselves to go out. And I'm pretty politically, I'm registered to be a Democrat, but I'm pretty politically liberal, even further, the other way almost, all over the place. And to be in a space where I can have a conversation with someone and they can disagree with me and we can still love each other is what keeps me going. When things are hard, this place keeps me going, and I want to make sure that it's that same kind of place for everyone. And so it feels like a really blessed challenge, honestly. One more question. New person, yay! Sorry, I didn't mean to point out that you're new.
I miss the significance of the chalice, and I would love if you could explain what that is to me.
So I do say that over and over again, but sometimes I skip it, so thank you. So in World War II, churches specifically in the areas that Germany was invading, Poland, would put a chalice in the window with a flame in it to show that this was a place of liberal, enlightened religion. And when the UU Service Committee, who is our, whatever that sounds like, went and started helping get people out of Europe, they needed a symbol to put on paperwork to look official to get across Nazi lines. And so somebody drew a chalice. And it seems like a good reason to use it. Okay. Oh, one more. I'm going to give Sandy a question.
Well, of course, I know you have good environmental bones. That's good, and I hope
My
you carry on.
first coercive job was Greenpeace. Yes, please.
So I'm wondering what's being said in the denomination about climate change actions and environmental resilience for our people. Before you answer that, though, I want to answer Layla's question. There's, of course, mankind's search for meaning is what you finding truth and meaning in life, no matter what the source is. But here's the joke. Unitarian Universalists believe in one God at the most.
Nice. Okay, so it's really easy to get in the same space about the world and the climate. I feel like those are really parallel places. We're bleeding out in our civil rights, and so is our earth. And because I was raised in a farming community, I have this dedication to dirt that some people don't have. Like, I'm going to the farm that my grandparents founded. It was a pay lake, a fishing lake in Ohio in a few weeks. And I will sit with my bare feet in that grass while I'm there. And I think that part of what we need to do, besides just having well-meaning intentions for nature, is to have a relationship with it and not pretend like it's a product or other. And that's really what I think would help. So our denomination feels all over the place right now to me, a little bit, and I'm trying to narrow down what they're saying and what they think, but I do know that when somebody used the word climate and revival, I was like, I'm in. So in September, part of the climate revival will be here first. Here, we were the first church that signed up because I didn't know what it was, and my mentor started it. So I just heard revival, and I got excited. I thought about tents and a loudspeaker. One day, y'all, when I get my van. But, this place is... It was like that tomato plant thought I had a while back. Like, if everybody grows one tomato, how much carbon can we reduce moving across the country? And I think one of the things that I'm troubled by is our plans are so complex that we get overwhelmed by them. And I think that if we just could change our attitude towards love and kindness towards the world the same way as people, we could go a long way. And maybe we start that here, and maybe we are doing that here. I think we have solar panels, we do all kinds of stuff. But when we pull together in the little things and don't shame each other for not having access to everything, I think it really goes a long way. I also think relationships with more people who are using land in different ways. And this is not quite environmental, but it is part of the whole land acknowledgement as well, which is, Dylan was board president last year, like 5 minutes ago, and we discussed a lot about what it would be like if this property was ever sold to invest or land back to some local tribe, part of the proceeds. I think that's great, and some sort of thing to restore this property to the natural order. We could take that into the environmental area as well. And I think that that's another thing that those of us who have more means, we might not make as much money by investing green, but that's all right. Maybe you didn't need it. And really moving our money into places that are thoughtful and not destroying the earth. Is that good enough? That's a lot. All right. She knew I was devoted. Yeah, my first job, when I figured out how loud I was in a megaphone, was Greenpeace. And Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they didn't like us there either. Woo! We were not the popular people. And I would go door to door begging for money for Greenpeace. And I eventually did it long enough that they sent me to D.C. And George Bush won. Was just getting back from the environmental summit in Rio de Janeiro, and we wrote on a giant sign that we flew with weather balloons. I was young once. George Bush in Rio, monumental failure, and we flew it at the Washington Monument. So I'm down for anything, really, Sandy. I really am. Okay, thank you. That was fun. I'm sure I'm always open to meeting with you and answering any kind of question that you might have, whether it is public or private or both. I work really hard to not gossip and let things end where they do. I have a little joke that I spread compliments, not rumors. I try my best. But I think that if I could say anything is just having the anchor to begin again in love whenever I feel like I'm off. It's just really critical to the way I live my life. And I want to thank all of you for that. Cool. Now, I think this song, is that right? Oh, oh my goodness. Are you ready? Oh my goodness, we're ready to go. Percussion group? Ah. Slow. Come percuss. Ooh. I see some sticks. I see some sticks. If you like this today, it's just the beginning of more fun and more humor. And I think that, one of the things that is best is we do really serious work around here, but we do not take ourselves too seriously about it. And if you enjoyed today and other days, please give generously. If you're here for the first time and you're not sure about what just happened, let the plate slide right by. Yes, we call this church. Explain that to your uncle. Good luck. And the offering will be gratefully received. in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. Please rise in body and or spirit to join us in our closing hymn, Forward Through the Ages, which is just kind of like that sounded. So. So what? Well, just who knows where this is from? Oh, Ray Solomon. So here's how much of a nerd I am. When I came in this church for my interview and I saw this, I was like, oh, look, it's Holy Maple. I don't know. I just made that up. But I saw this standing there and I thought, any place committed enough to make this heavy thing and keep it and be anchored with it is all right by me. When we are anchored in our questions and not our certainty, and we are given the opportunity to change our mind, I think that might save us all. So, remember, to question is the answer. But don't say that to someone else as a smart aleck remark, just like to yourself when you think you know something. That's my advice. Now, we are a place of extinguishing chalices. Will you come forward, my friend, and extinguish the chalice? I think this is the last day you get to do. I'm kidding. You can do it again. So please join me in the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Thank you, Skip. It's time for announcements. Everyone has to hold this when they make it. I'm kidding. It's very heavy. And I'm going to put it down. But if anybody has an announcement, please come forward. And then we're saving a big announcement for last. So. Go for it. There's the mic. You can turn it around. Oh, that's very tall. Wow.
My name is Jan Brooks. My pronouns are she, her. Next week, the Social Justice Committee will choose the 10 Donate the Plate recipients. However, we would like your input. You can vote, my preference, please, because I am the vote tabulator. You can vote online. Go to uucc.org and click on the newsletter, the last one, I think, July 4th. And you'll see a ballot. You can vote. There are 23 nominees made by all of you. You can vote for up to 10. There is also an attachment that will, I realize you can't see this, and here I am with my visual, but it says Donate the Plate nominations. And there's a little mission statement I got online about each of the 23. There's also a ballot. This is an advisory ballot. If you want more direct input, oh, one other thing. Some of you don't have access to the internet. So out on the table is a paper ballot. There aren't too many because I really want you to vote online if you can. Also, if you want more direct access, please join us next week at the Social Justice Committee meeting. Thank you.
I'm not saying good morning anymore, but bon appetit or buen provecho. I am not, but you can call me Christian. Pat yourself on the back or pat each other on the back because you made a good move this morning for coming here. You'll hear about that more in a little moment, but also kind of finding out you want to do in your life some fitness, so you're coming tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. here for yoga, free yoga kind of with donations. You want to have some food and company, so you're coming here on Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. For our potluck. Bring some food. If you don't find the time, come anyway. Others will have brought some food, so and enjoyed it. And finally, next Sunday, we're starting at our second half of the year forum. Nikki and I kind of put already kind of the program together. So that starts, we meet at 9:30 for coffee. The program starts at 9:45 in the forum room. So forum meets in the forum. Challenging. Through 10:45, the topic is, does the U.S. Congress still function? As we have quite heated debates on a daily basis right now about a certain person kind of being age 81, does it still function? So they interviewed several outgoing representatives from the House of Representatives and Senate who leave their posts in the fall, and they asked them, does it still function, and what needs to change so that it can function? So join us for all of them.
I've got an answer, but I don't think it's popular. Any more announcements or big? Yes, there we go.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy Sapp, pronouns she, her, and I am the RE chair, the chair of the RE committee. And I have at least 3 announcements. Depends on how you break them up, so be patient with me. First one is today, as you may have noticed, is our annual Independence Day potluck. Many thanks to Gail Odier for organizing. Thank you, Gail. And you'll hear a little bit more about that at the end of my announcements, but I do want to say, please help us out after you eat and enjoy great food. Please put your dishes in the dishwasher. That would be greatly appreciated.
It says it in the order of service.
Yay, I'm just in case you didn't, I didn't pick up an order of service, I didn't see it. Second, I would, as part of this potluck, we are also celebrating 2 wonderful years with Camille, our current Director of Religious Education, and are very sadly saying goodbye to Camille as she is leaving us. This is her last day here. And I'd like to invite Dylan to come up for just a moment as part of this.
Cute.
It was an honor to get to read the children's story today, to try and hold the torch for Camille, who's read so many amazing children's stories to our kids and run the religious education here at the church with such strength and so much heart and so much love. And we're really going to miss you so much here. And the board of directors just wanted to get you this just from us with a card that keeps falling out. So
We're the gift that keeps on giving.
Thank you, Camille. We're really going to miss you, and I hope this, once the flowers, even if the flowers don't make it forever, the green watering can will make it longer.
And now you may be wondering, what happens when we don't have a Director of Religious Education?
Me too.
We got a lot of kids. What do we do with those kids? What's going to be happening? So I want you to rest assured we have an amazing search committee already in place, consisting of Chen Shang in the back, Brianne Brucker in the back, and John Tracy, who is not here with us this morning. They have already met at least twice, put in many, many hours of work, and are set to be and have us a new person in place, hopefully in a few months. In the meantime, you may be wondering what's going to be happening for the next few months. So for the next few months, we have hired a summer religious education coordinator, Gray Henry, pronouns they, them, and would you like to come up, Gray? Gray's been a part of this church for a long time, and they have set up some special activities for the kids during the service today, or during the potluck today, and I'm going to let them tell you about that.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All right, so as you were coming in, you might have seen that there is a whole bunch of stuff out by the playground. This includes a water slide. Also, there are different prompts on each square of the sidewalk. So if you want to play some tic-tac-toe, draw what your summer plans are, go for it. We also have a parachute, we have bubbles, and we have a giant game of Yahtzee, if you guys want to do that. In addition, after the service in honor of Camille, we are going to be having the table set up back there with card making supplies, if you guys would like to make a card for Camille. So those are the 2 things that we have prepared. In addition, when Gail and I got here this morning and we're setting up the potluck, there were a whole bunch of art pieces from the sip and paint. So your art pieces are in the office to be picked up if you would like to get those. And that is everything that I have.
Remember that story I was telling about Hannah Eller Isaac growing up in a... Thank you for your service, Gray. This is awesome.
Hello, sorry. For those of you who don't know me, Katie Sellers, she, her. I and Layla and I have been discussing like an introductory music education class while the choir is off. No one showed up today, totally understandable. I also realized I was not smart about it, and I did not gauge interest or availability. If there's no interest, I'm not going to do it. But so could... For a potential September start date, is there anyone who would be interested in an introductory music class? Just the most basic concepts. We would use the solfege system. How many people have seen The Sound of Music? Okay, good. And so I assume you remember the do, a deer, a female deer, ray, da 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 da. Okay, well, what if I told you that's not just random lyrics that Oscar Hammerstein II came up with, but a rather functional system for learning to read music for singers? Well, anyone really, but it's especially helpful for singers. The goal of this class it doesn't matter if you sing high, low, none of that, shaky, strong. The goal is just to increase confidence in communal singing, because it's really hard to listen to the people around you and the words that you're singing if you're really, really focused on yourself. I'm bad at that. I rarely am actually singing with the people around me rather than alongside them. So potentially a September start date. Who would be interested in that?
So one hand, two,
Okay.
3,
And of you,
4.
who would be available potentially after church from like 12:30 to 1:15? Okay. Thank you.
I have another idea, because I'm sure you're going to remember all that, but maybe you have a little sign-up thing after, so you have those folks' names.
I'm planning on gauging interest again in gathering.
Okay, in gathering, we'll talk about it again. Awesome, thank you. Anything else? Whose birthday? I don't. Really? Is there cake? Okay. Are you doing that? Are you doing something? Okay. We have some cool pictures. All right. I have a sneaky friend at church.
Stephanie Clark, she, her. I'm so glad to see so many faces today to help celebrate lots of things. In addition to our sadness at Camille leaving us in RE, we do have some joy to celebrate. We have had a birthday on Friday. Skip Stevens turned 90 years old. Yes. And in case you were wondering, these are pictures of Skip as a young woman. She used to, on the local public television station, she would interview local politicians and put them on the spot. And I hear from a good source, our friend Ann Hennis, who said those politicians would be so flustered by how pretty she was that they would just completely blurt out all the things they didn't mean to say. So, yeah, brains and beauty. Oh, this is a quote. This is a recent quote. Skip is not only 90, she's also a very stubborn person, in case you didn't know. And Skip and I have had, she's my best pal, but we have had knockdown, drag-out fights, including one where I threatened to not bring her to church anymore. And her response was, I just don't think I could go to a Methodist church. These are adorable pictures of Skip as a baby, as a pianist with a bow in her hair, with a little kitten. She was a cute young thing before she started questioning everything and questioning authority.
That just made her gorgeous.
These are her parents, not Adam and Eve. This is Esther Spellman and Dr. Arch Spellman, who did so much good for his community in Smithville, Missouri. Not many people know this. He believed that medical care should be available to everyone in his community, so he actually built the first hospital in the area with 11 beds, and it has grown into a huge hospital, and they celebrate him every year. There are signs and everything. He's the celebrity. And these are Skip's children. Many of you might not know. She has 4 children. She had Kathleen, she had Chris, Patrick, and Aaron. And these are some of her children and her great-grandchildren. And I like the 2 in the corner because it just is such a continuation of life that she's sharing Kathleen with her father and then meeting her great-grandchild in the upper left corner. She has lived all over the United States. She was born in Basin, Wyoming, to a cowgirl that rode horses to school, and later moved to Smithville, Missouri, where we talked about. She went to USC, where she was appalled at the panty raids that would go on back in the day. South Bend, Indiana, briefly, for while her then husband was in the service, and then Chattanooga, then Lexington, Kentucky, then Tarpon Springs, and then back to Chattanooga again. And the thing that means the most to me is that Skip has been on the Newton Child Development Center She started there in 1965. She would drive her car around to neighborhoods to pick up little kids and bring them to a place where they could learn. And I'm on the board now, and I volunteer there, and they have continued their mission to make sure that all of the children have access to pre-K, and it's not just a daycare, it's a school. Some of Skip's fame and glory years, yes, indeed. She was a star of stage. So these are some of the pictures of her from different productions she was in at the theater center. This is her in front of Machu Picchu. How old were you when you went there?
I'm 71.
71. And you climbed to the top? And again, her legacy will live on forever and ever. Just recently, they threw a birthday party for her. And that's in one of the pictures, little Jordan said, "We're going to be zombies." And Skip was right there with him being a zombie.
Good job.
Yeah. So she does a lot for that community around College Hill Courts and West Side Evolves. We're fighting the power to make sure that when they tear down College Hill Courts and the developers come in to build high-rises, that they will still make sure there is some subsidized housing available for single mom families and seniors. And we just want to say thank you for all you've done and all you continue to do for UUCC and the community. We love you, Skip. And we also have a crown. Although she's been collecting these, this actually has a 90 on it, so we'll put it on you when you go out there.
All right, that's enough, y'all. I'm hungry. So, but as a postlude, also, if you would like to turn 90 in this community and have a slideshow about yourself, please let me know. Honestly, though, if you have any kind of big thing that you want to share or be snuck up on about, get hold of me. It's fun to celebrate our people and our successes. There are many people who turn 90 who never get recognized and celebrated, and it's important that we just keep that up, and I was like, is this going to be a roast or a celebration? I wasn't sure. So as our postlude today, we are going to sing Happy Birthday to Skip. So please rise in body and spirit. As this service ends, may your service begin. Come on. Where's the crown? Happy birthday